Title 1. The House on the Hill. The house on the hill had been abandoned for years. Its dark, looming presence cast a shadow over the small town below. No one knew who had once lived there, or why they had left so suddenly. But rumors had spread about the strange noises that emanated from the house at night, and the eerie shadows that seemed to dance along its windows. One night, a group of teenagers decided to investigate the house. They climbed up the hill, feeling their hearts racing as they approached the front door. They pushed it open, and immediately felt a chill run down their spines. The house was dark and empty, but they could hear whispers and footsteps coming from the upper floors. They made their way up the stairs, their flashlights shaking in their hands. As they reached the top of the stairs, they saw a figure standing at the end of the hall. It was a woman, dressed in a tattered white dress. She beckoned them closer, and they followed, feeling a strange sense of dread creeping over them. They entered a room that was filled with old furniture and cobwebs. The woman disappeared, and they were left alone in the darkness. Suddenly, they heard a loud thud, and a chair toppled over. They turned to run, but the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. They were never seen again, and the house on the hill remained empty, a constant reminder of the horrors that lurked within. Title 2. The Haunted Hotel. The old hotel had been closed for years, but it still stood tall and imposing in the center of town. It was said that the hotel was haunted by the ghosts of those who had died within its walls, and that strange things happened there at night. A young couple decided to spend a night at the hotel, eager to see if the rumors were true. As they walked through the empty corridors, they felt a strange energy coursing through the air. They entered their room and settled in for the night, but they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and they heard a faint whisper. They looked at each other, their hearts pounding in their chests. As the night wore on, they were plagued by strange visions and sounds. They saw the ghostly figures of former hotel guests wandering through the halls, and heard the screams of those who had died there. They tried to leave the room, but the door wouldn't budge. They were trapped, and they knew that they would never escape the haunted hotel alive. Title 3. The Forest of Shadows. The Forest of Shadows was a place that no one dared to venture into. It was said that the trees were alive, and that they moved to block the paths of anyone who tried to enter. One day, a group of hikers decided to explore the forest. They walked along the path, feeling the trees watching them. Suddenly, the path disappeared, and they found themselves lost in the darkness. As they stumbled through the forest, they heard strange noises coming from all around them. They saw shadowy figures moving in the trees, and felt the branches closing in on them. They tried to find their way out, but the forest seemed to be alive, changing and shifting around them. They knew that they would never escape the Forest of Shadows, and that they would be doomed to wander there forever. Title 4. The Abandoned Mine. The abandoned mine had been closed for years, but it still loomed over the small town like a dark cloud. It was said that the miners who had worked there had been cursed, and that their ghosts still haunted the tunnels. A group of adventurers decided to explore the mine, eager to see what secrets it held. They were thrill seekers, looking for an adrenaline rush, but they had no idea what awaited them in the depths of the mine. As they made their way down the dark and dusty tunnel, the air grew colder and the silence grew louder. The only sound was the echoing of their footsteps against the rock. The leader of the group, a man named Mark, stopped suddenly and held up his hand. "Listen," he said, "do you hear that?" At first, the others heard nothing, but then they heard a faint whispering sound. It was like a distant voice, carried on the wind. They followed the sound deeper into the mine, until they came to a large chamber. The walls were covered in ancient hieroglyphs, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. In the center of the room stood a large stone altar, and on it was a glowing crystal. The adventurers were awestruck by the sight, but they soon realized that something was not right. As they approached the altar, they heard a deep rumbling sound, and the ground beneath their feet began to shake. They tried to run, but it was too late. The chamber was collapsing around them, and they were trapped. As they tried to find a way out, they heard a voice in their heads. It was a voice filled with rage and hatred, and it spoke of ancient curses and forbidden rituals. The adventurers realized too late that they had awakened an ancient evil. They were no longer exploring a mine, but a cursed tomb. They tried to find a way out, but the walls were closing in, and the tunnels were collapsing. They were trapped in the dark, with no escape. One by one, they began to disappear, taken by the curse. The voice in their heads grew stronger, and they could feel it pulling at their minds. Mark was the last to go. As he stood in the darkness, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He turned around, but there was no one there. He heard the voice one last time, and then he was gone. The abandoned mine was once again quiet, its secrets buried deep within its walls. The only sound was the echoing of the adventurer's footsteps, long since faded into silence.